Yeah. Fresh out the cell with a plan and a boo. Ain't clip beeping, but my heart's beating for you. Let's go. Met her on a prison pen pal site. She said you cute even in that orange light. Now I'm home and I'm free, kinda on probation. She picked me up in a Prius, pure elation. Got a teardrop tat and a heart full of dreams. She brought cupcakes and some government cheese. I said, girl, you a snack, maybe even a feast. She said, you just hungry cause you live with the beast. Love after lockup, wild and free. Got no keys, but she got the key. From yard time to FaceTime, look at us glow. From prison phone calls to reality show. Love after lockup, we don't play. Tinder got nothing on JPay. I did my time, now I'm doing hers. Doing laundry and love, both in spurts.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Love After Lockup, Locked Down, where we are covering Season 1, Episode 3. As always, you can find us on Facebook at Love After Lockup Locked Down or on Instagram at LALU Locked Down. How are you today, Lisa?
I'm doing good. This episode is called Meet the Parents. It was very frustrating to watch. So maybe we could talk about something else for just a second before I get into this. We only really recorded the last episode, what was it? Friday, right? So 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you've been up to anything in particular, watching anything. I know you said you painted something.
I've still been watching the new season. I'm still trying to get all of those crammed in. I think we're almost done.
I'm so addicted to YouTube that it's hard for me to like want to watch anything else. I like my uh fat acceptance reactions and the YouTubers that go around and basically eat for a living, go to different restaurants
Mm-hmm.
and do things like that. So I'm so stuck on those that I have my husband watching all of those and getting addicted to them too. And I also got into court show or like court on YouTube. So there's like a viral judge, and I can't remember his name, but he wears a bow tie. So I watch him all the time.
On TikTok?
Yeah, no, on YouTube.
Oh, okay. This week, we start off with Lamar and Andrea.
So he's fresh out of prison, and he said he's cool, he's chilling, he feels good. It feels good to be free.
Yeah, they're just driving down the road, and he's talking about how happy he is to be out and to be a free man, and just repeats, as you would after being in prison for 18 years. He just says, "Oh, it's so great to be out." And she's basically like, "Yeah, it's so great to touch your body."
Pretty much. And he said it was crazy to me because I'm like, when was this recorded? But I think it was 2012. So he said he hasn't touched a woman in 18 years, which that would have made it 1999. Is that math correct? That's what he said.
18
Oh,
years
I
ago?
can't. I can't. Well, 18 years prior to
Oh, to
2012.
2012. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't do math in my head, but that's
No,
what I
no,
heard him
it would
say.
be longer than 1999
Would
because
it?
that would
I
be
don't know.
13 years. So it'd be more like
Uh,
96 if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure all of our listeners will email us and tell us how dumb we are.
yeah. Anyone who has a calculator can probably tell us how wrong we are. He can't leave LA for 2 weeks. She she just keeps talking about how handsome he is, how hot he is and stuff, and it's like, is this the what else about him, Andrea, drew you to him? Because we have heard nothing more about this man other than how sexy he is.
I am having a hard time coming to terms with how dedicated she is to being a Mormon, and how she says things like, and I quote, I will hurt a bitch, and I say that in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Yep.
What? What did you just
Yep.
say?
Uh, this is she is the most un-Mormon Mormon. I
Right?
mean, oh yeah, I can't with her. I can't. She this there is nothing about her that says that she is strictly following the Mormon religion. Nothing at all.
I don't mind her being Mormon. I don't mind her finding her husband, boyfriend. They're not married yet, right? Not yet.
No, no.
And I don't have any problem with her finding him attractive. But the level that this was on, like if I was a guy, I would be completely turned off by this. She gets so aggressive with the lady at the car wash who is just trying to do her job. And the lady at the car wash handled it wonderfully, at least from what they showed.
Poor girl. All she was doing was her job. The fact that Andrea got so upset for a girl doing her job, just it's like she just her only crime was being like young and cute. That's all. That's all she did wrong.
And then she yells at her, "We're engaged." The girl's probably like,
Ah,
"I don't care."
it was so weird. I would have been like, "Oh, okay." Like, how would you have reacted to that? Like, "All right, ma'am, settle down."
Excellent. Don't forget to put your car in neutral.
Yes, we need to know your relationship status before you enter the car wash.
You want to give her the works? Whatever it was.
Oh, you want the works.
It was so cringy. I just oh and she calls the girl a slut. I mean, like not to
Ah,
her, but you're name calling somebody who did nothing.
yeah.
That
And the
was
fact that she even used that word, I'm like, that's probably breaking some sort of religious rule in that religion. You know?
but then he turns out to be like equally as weird as she is because as soon as they pull into the car wash, he takes his shirt off.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, I feel like that was in response to her saying about how she was insinuating that she can't do anything because of her religion at that point. And I think, oh, he was mad at her too. That's the thing. So she was mad at him about the girl in the car wash and all that. And then he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna distract her from everything that's going on in her mind right now by taking off my shirt." And immediately, the proper Mormon that she is, she's grabbing all on him and they put the shirt over the camera.
Yeah. She says premarital sex is against her Mormon religion. Um, okay.
Mm. I don't believe for a second, and we'll be talking about this later on in the episode, but I don't believe for a second that she's following that. No way.
I don't know. I don't want to question anyone's dedication to their religion. I'm just going to say I'm a little skeptical as to how all of these behaviors kind of mix together. So,
I do okay, I don't have anything to say about anyone's religion. Whatever you are is whatever you are, but don't act like you're the most devout in existence of your religion and then act like that because it's just not. It's not adding up.
no, it doesn't work for me.
Mm-mm.
I give it a thumbs down. Next up are Johnna and Garrett. And surprisingly, I know that this is going to take everyone by surprise, actually. We come into the scene with her yelling at him for leaving his clothes on the floor. Which, did you see how many clothes she picked up? That's a lot of clothes. Like that, he shouldn't have been leaving them around on the floor like that.
She's so nasty. I mean, let's keep in mind it has only been 3 weeks. They should still be in full-blown honeymoon phase
Three
at this
weeks.
point.
Yeah.
Oh, she said they've had too many arguments. In 3 weeks? How many arguments are you having?
Mm-hmm.
she's like, "Do you even know what a hamper is?" And he's go ahead.
No, I was listening to you. I was just gonna say it's just like you said before. I don't think either of them like each other.
Mm. Yeah, he calls her his new warden.
Mhm.
Uh, ah.
But wouldn't you do you understand why he would feel that way?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
she's gotta understand that he said himself, he was used to living a very strict, under very strict rules in prison. Give the guy a break. Let him relax and live and get reaccustomed to regular life before you start, like, just nitpicking him. Oh my gosh.
And again, they've lost all of the time that they served in prison from their life. So they're not coming out to what they knew. I mean, the majority of them, at least this far, are not coming out to the same thing they went in. Things are different. Things just think how quick things change from a year, you know? But Johnna says that she's been spoiled by her dad her whole life, which we already knew.
Shocker.
Her dad meeting Garrett was actually funny. Just, I'm in a bad mood. I was like, that's me.
He's like, "You're on the wrong side of the park. I'll be there soon."
He's so irritated with her.
Yeah, I was scared. I was like,
I don't blame him. It just seems like such a ridiculous thing. And you can tell that there's nothing going on there between them. I don't know. I don't I don't get it.
She's like she gets there and she's all like being trying to be romantic and putting her head on him and stuff, and you could see it's like not even it doesn't even look comfortable. She's like, "This is our first trip to the park." And it's like he looks miserable.
Her dad's just like, I don't really want to meet him because this is not going anywhere.
He said she's batting 0 for about 9. What did that mean?
Apparently she's had 9 relationships. That I would imagine that would have to be like 9 significant relationships. You know what I mean? Not just somebody that she went out with a couple times or whatever.
Isn't she 24 or 25 though? That's a lot of relationships between that time.
That is a lot for somebody who's 25 years old. I mean,
She had
that's
to
like
have
one a year or
yeah,
something.
yeah, I mean, and I bet she did this exact same thing with every single boyfriend. Like, the first week of dating, she wants to be serious, she doesn't want them seeing their friends, she doesn't want them playing sports, she doesn't want them doing anything.
I would be interested to hear Jonna's side of the story. Like, I'd be curious to hear what she has to say about all of this stuff now. We need a where are they now?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, we do.
So I side with dad because he's grumpy but reasonable.
Mhm. Yeah, he says he doesn't wanna see her get hurt anymore, but to be fair, Dad, she's setting herself up for failure right from the beginning.
Yeah. Her dad asks Garrett if he's going to marry Jonna at some point, and Garrett's like, "No." Like, he's like, "Who, you promised that?" And Garrett's like, "No, I won't promise you that."
Exactly, I caught that too. He basically said, "Can I get you on a contract?" And Garrett's like, "No."
Yeah, he's like, "Nah, thanks. I'm good." Garrett seems to be reasonable in his expectations from the relationship, I guess. Maybe not. I don't
Uh,
know. It just seems like maybe he's more realistic about what the relationship is. You know, he's like, this is
yeah.
not working out and I'm not going to keep going forward with it, which he should have just stopped it at that point. As soon as he realized that things were not the way that they needed to be, he should have just been like, this is it. I'm out.
Yeah, and later on, we'll hear something that makes me think that he probably has other options besides her. Not as far as other girls go, but maybe family.
Mm-hmm.
So, mhm.
So Jonna says that she's going to be with Garrett regardless. And that is how
Mm.
they end that scene. We meet up with Scott and Lizzie next. There's a lot in this episode of jumping around on scenes. Like they would check in with people for very short times. So we'll jump around in the show just like they jumped around in the show.
Mhm. Yeah, it was a lot in this. We thought last episode was bad. This one was worse as far as the jumping around.
Yeah.
There was even those little excerpts before the commercials, and it showed like 1 second of material.
Yeah, it was
Mhm.
very short. So Scott and Lizzie start with Scott and Adam going to pick Lizzie up for her release from prison. What did you
Oh,
expect when the scene came on?
I don't know. I kind of wasn't surprised when he shows up and all of a sudden she's just not being released. They have her nowhere on the list at all. I wasn't surprised.
Yeah, he says that they're engaged, and the entire ride up to pick Lizzie up, Adam is very skeptical of her. And he's trying
Mhm.
to be nice as he can be, while also trying to protect his dad. And I feel bad for Adam because I think he knows that there's nothing that he can do or say that is going to change what Scott's doing.
Yeah, Scott understandably said he's anxious. He didn't sleep a lot. He's wasted. I don't want to say wasted. He's waited 2.5 years for a girl that he met online. The son is like he's nervous for him. He says he's nervous for himself because a lot of women in jail use men for money. Surprise.
Yeah, they drove 5 hours to pick her up, only for the guard to say, sorry, she's not getting out today. And Scott's extremely polite and thanks the guard after he finds out there's no more information to be had. But then
Mhm.
decides to pull the car over after he does his little turnaround and throw up. Like he just runs off into this field and throws up, which seemed like a
Mhm.
super dramatic response to. I get you drove 6 hours and found out that you were lied to and think you're a trick, but it just, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't have run off into the field. I don't know.
He goes, "Inmates lie to tricks. She got me," things like that. But, the throwing up, I wanna say that that was just a reaction to, "Oh my goodness, I've wasted." For me, it would be the money part, the money, all the money that you've wasted on this person, and I'm sure he's drowning in credit card debt. That would make me throw up for sure.
Yeah, to think you
Um,
spent all that money on somebody who misrepresented themselves.
that and I think in the back of his head, he knew that that could have happened, that he would show up and she wouldn't be there. So,
You would think he would have considered it. Adam still remains unsurprised by all of this. He seems unfazed and maybe a little sad that his dad was had.
he really does, like, I don't know. I feel so bad for Scott because I feel like he's genuinely a good guy. I mean, he seems like a good guy, and the son is just like, his heart is breaking for his dad.
But he's making these terrible decisions that everyone
Mhm.
around him is saying, listen, these are terrible decisions and you are ruining your life. And he's like, haha, I know, but I'm going to do it anyway. And so at a certain point, you have to be like, okay, you did this to yourself and you are continuing to do it to yourself.
Mhm. It's that's it. It's like he knows. It's crazy because he speaks it and he knows what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing,
Right.
but he's just hoping that it's gonna work out
Right.
the way that he wants it to, even though in the back of his mind he knows it's not going to. It's weird.
Next up, we meet a new couple, Mary, who is 28, and Dominic, who is 30. Dominic is incarcerated. Mary said that she was a party girl and she only dated the bad boys.
I have some questions about this one
Yeah.
because, again, I'm skeptical as to why they're actually in prison because she said he was arrested for a bar fight and he's been incarcerated for 6 years for a bar fight, but there's no details.
I'm sure
What
you could find
happened?
details online, but I would suspect that somebody was hurt severely. I mean, if you're gonna get
Has to
6
be.
years, there's probably
Yeah.
injuries of some nature.
Yeah, but when they say it, when the person on the outside says it, they don't want to say that other thing. They're just like, "Oh, he was arrested, he's been in jail. Oh, he was just in a bar fight." You know what I mean? Like, and then has everyone going, just a bar fight? Like kind of like with Lamar.
She can't be too surprised that he got into a bar fight and went to prison. I mean, they met in a bar when somebody was heckling her, and he just walks up and smacks the guy.
Yeah, 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 exactly. So, yeah, and he didn't even know her. So he was just like he's a hard ass, I guess, it sounds like, you know?
They spent a whopping 30 days together before he went to prison, I guess before he was arrested and went to prison, so they've been together for 6 years because he also served 6 years.
They show her out with her brother and her friend. Um, they said, "Isn't it weird that you go out single, but you're not single?" That friend of hers, and I don't remember what her name was, she was making me mad.
Yeah.
I think that she went too far with what she was saying. I just didn't like it.
I felt like her friends were a little too open in their dislike for him. Like, I think there's an appropriate way to express your feelings and your concerns without just being nasty about it. And they were, like you said, they crossed that line a little too much.
Mhm. Yeah, I just didn't care for her. Again, same thing with, like, Andrea and the girls at her shower. It's like, why are you friends with that person?
Right,
And they're talking to you like that, you
right.
know?
We find out that Mary is studying to get her real estate license. And that's really the sum total of that scene.
Well, one of the things that the nasty friend was saying is, uh, does he know how to work a regular job? And Mary's like, I'm pretty sure he worked regular jobs before he went to prison.
he's
He like
he's not a
he
child.
isn't
Yeah.
he's not a child when he like she met him while he was working, I
He
believe.
was what, 24 years old when he went to prison? That's
Yeah.
yeah. I think you would have had at least one job by that point.
Yeah, also she does talk about how um she's about to have her first conjugal visit with him.
Oh, right, yeah. I thought I think we talked about this last time, but I thought you had to be married to have a conjugal, and I thought that that's why people were getting married, or one of the reasons.
Well, she calls herself a prison wife, but then she says they're engaged. So I'm wondering if they are married, but I don't know why she said engaged and then called herself a prison wife. And then, like you said, you have to be married to get a conjugal visit. So
Yeah, I
I don't
thought
know.
so. Yeah.
Hmm.
If our listeners know, email us and let us know. It
Yeah,
is,
absolutely.
yeah, LALU locked down at gmail.com. Next up is James and Allah, and she said his sex is everything she's hoped for.
Oh, well, remember, she's a born again virgin.
It's the
So this
best
is
sex
her
I've
first
had.
time.
It's the best sex I've had since I went to prison.
Yeah.
I think
She's
she's
about
enamored by him. I think that she really does care about him. She just has some really significant issues.
I just still feel as if she, in her mind, and the reason why she started a relationship with him is like, this is a guy who is on the straight and narrow. And I'll talk about this later. And the reason why I say this, he's a guy that's not going to cause her to use again because he's, he's not in that lifestyle.
Right.
And I say that because, y- you know, she said that her last boyfriend was who started her using.
Mhm. He's meeting the parents in this scene, and his very kind self, though excessively naive, I feel. I don't know if he's ignoring it or he doesn't understand it. He doesn't believe it. I don't know. I'm not sure. I just don't feel like he's on the same page with her addiction that the rest of the world is. You know, her parents understand, she understands, but I'm not sure that he's grasping it.
People who have never been around that or anything, they don't know anything about that. I understand why he's being naive. Um, but he probably should have done some reading,
Yeah,
honestly.
he seems
Um,
very smart. So you would think that that would be
yeah.
something like How to Love an Addict. That would have been, I don't know that that
Mhm.
book exists, but you know, I'm
Oh,
sure you could.
you know what? It probably does.
Right?
I'm gonna look for it now. I guarantee you it's called exactly that too. She says her dad is reserved but will love him, and, it's the first serious man she's bringing home. I don't know about that because I just don't think that that's what she meant when she said that.
I don't know. I don't imagine that she would have. She's young, so I don't imagine she would have
Yeah.
had a lot of serious relationships.
I kind of think maybe she didn't mean it like that. Maybe she thought like he's a serious guy. You know what I
Oh, that
mean?
could
Like,
be.
yeah. I wasn't sure though.
Her
Uh,
family is Russian. I don't know if we mentioned that before, but there
mhm.
also can be, like translation type issues or just, inflection issues even.
Alla walks in and mom says, "You look fabulous." She says hello to her parents. They walk over to the table. James looks shocked as always, but like I said, I think that he's got Graves' disease or something with his eyes. It's like a thyroid disorder. But he goes, "Oh, it's caviar," and they show the caviar, and then the dad says something really weird. He goes, "James, your wine is warm."
I wrote that down too. Your wine is warm, so we're going to drink this. I was like, that's an odd thing to say. I don't, maybe it's not odd, but we both picked up on it, so I'm going to go with it is.
Well, I kind of thought it was like a jab at him because you drink red wine warm. You don't chill it. Unless so you would chill a white wine or you chill like a rosé, but red wine is drank warm. And I kind of think that maybe it was like a jab
Hmm.
at James, like, "Oh, James, here's red wine. The proper way to drink it is warm." But it didn't. It came across Russian-y.
I don't
Not.
know. I don't know what with that. It was just weird. It just came across as weird.
Yeah.
She began modeling when she was 17. So we talked about her having enough money to maintain her apartment. And depending on how much work she had, she probably could have made enough if she wasn't spending it. Although, you know, that's speculation.
They say that they want James to take care of their daughter, and that's I guess that's a fair statement because she's not going to be living with them. She's going to be either with James or in her own apartment, and they won't be able to watch over her. So the person who's going to be closest to her and with her the most is the person that's going to have to take care of her. And unfortunately, because of her past, she does kind of need someone to take care of her, to keep her accountable, to watch over her, to make sure she's doing the right things. That's just how it is. That's her life now.
For a while, yeah. She has to
Mhm.
have somebody who watches over her. They
Yeah.
ask him why he's dating a prisoner, which I feel like is a fair question. Why did you choose to date someone in prison?
And he looks very awkward and hesitates, but I wasn't sure if that was for show because he hesitated forever.
I feel like he probably actually hesitated that long because
Yeah, he's
it
like,
was,
uh, um,
but
uh.
yeah, the magic of editing, it's hard to say what the truth is.
He lost the folder. He was looking for the folder in his head. He lost it. It's on the shelf, James.
It's on the shelf, James. I, I think you mentioned this, but it was her ex who got her hooked on heroin, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're comparing your new boyfriend, fiance, what have you, James, to somebody who got you hooked on heroin. I feel like the competition isn't steep there.
Mm, yeah. No. I just in my soul, I just feel like she feels like this is best for her because she won't be anywhere near that lifestyle anymore. If she doesn't go back to modeling, that is.
We pop over to Garrett and Johnna next. Did you have more?
No,
Oh,
we pop over because it's literally like a 3-second scene.
it is a 3-second scene. It's he's buying a car. Now at this point he's 3 weeks out of prison. And he walks up and he says, "Oh yeah, I want to buy a car." And the guy's like, "Okay, how much do you have?" And he's like, "Oh, my grandma's going to let me borrow $5,000." And the guy just looks at him like, "Okay, where are you going to get the rest of the money?" He's like, "You can't get anything here for that." Which, I mean, I'm not sure where he was shopping, but to get a car for 5,000 seems like back then you could have done it, but not from a car lot.
No, yeah, you could get someone a car off someone's lawn for $5,000 easily then,
Right.
but
Yeah.
but and you see, like, it just shows how long he was gone for because in his mind, he was gonna walk onto that car lot, and he was gonna get a Ford Escort for $5,000. He was gonna drive off.
That was his plan. But he got financed and bought a car. My question is, how do you get financed when you're 3 weeks out of prison with no job?
No job, he's a felon, and also he drives it off of the lot. How where is his license? He drives away with it.
He would have had to have presented his license, I think, and then he would have also had to have gotten insurance, would be my guess, but how did he pay for that? Did grandma's 5 grand go to that? Maybe. Maybe he borrowed that from her to pay for his insurance.
But also, how are you 3 weeks out of prison and you have your license? Can you maintain your license while you're in prison? Can you do that? I have to look that up. Like, can you, like, because here I know in New York State, it's every 6 years, but back then, I think it was only 4. But that's New York, and I don't know where he is, but still, he was in prison for how long? He wouldn't have an active license anymore.
Maybe it's just a matter of paying the fee.
Maybe.
I'm not
I don't
sure.
know.
It's interesting, but these are all questions that I would like to have answered.
Well, I'm gonna put a lot of questions on the Facebook group because I need to know.
Yeah, join us in the Facebook group and you can talk about all of these things and all of these cast members with us. That is on Facebook at the same name as the show. Easy to find. Love After Lockup, Locked Down. Next up is Lamar and Andrea, and they are headed to the hotel.
That's a nice hotel. I was like, "Oh, that's pretty nice." I liked it. I was like, "That's cute." Like, so she didn't, like, cheap out on that hotel, and it couldn't have been in a junk what's the word I'm looking for? A crappy area?
It's hard to say. I've been in some
Mhm.
buildings that are amazing and you walk outside and it's like I'm going to get jumped walking to my car.
There's a 7-Eleven next door.
Get your
And a
Mountain
liquor
Dew
store.
Slurpee. Yeah. So she says she lied to him about her sexual experience. I I don't think he cares. I didn't feel that that made any difference to him, and that was a vague statement, so I don't know.
I agree, like, he didn't care. He was just like, "Uh-oh." He didn't even respond, like,
Yeah, he wasn't worried about it. He was so impressed by the key card at the hotel that he didn't care.
on the TV, the flat TV.
Why Another question though is why did you tell him you knew how to do all of these things when you are a Mormon? Where did you learn all of them?
Oh, yeah, more Mormon stuff. Yeah,
I don't
so as
know.
her a very devout and proper Mormon, you are telling a man that you know how to do all of these sexual things and also telling him what you're going to do to him, but you're a proper Mormon. Okay, Andrea.
There were just too many things. The whole situation, I have in all caps in my notes, it says super awkward because that's how I felt the whole time.
It was cracking me up when he was like all about that TV. He was like, "How do you turn it on?" He's like,
Yeah,
he's feeling all around it. He's like, "This is flat."
that would be me. I don't even have to go to prison. I'm still like that with technology.
Honestly, I would have turned on the TV and started looking at what was on first before anything else.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there are so many things that you would miss out on in prison. Like I would want to eat and shower and shave. I don't
Mhm.
know, shave, eat food, definitely that you couldn't get.
Yep. I DoorDash, shave my head, laying on the
Yeah, if I went to prison, I would shave my head. I'm
bed.
not getting any pen pals, I don't think.
Honestly, wouldn't it make you like, wouldn't it be a good defense to like get into prison and like immediately shave your head? Because I mean, I'd be scared of the girl with the shaved head.
I would keep like one line, kind of like a mohawk, but on the side of my head instead of in the middle. So when you look at me, you're like, oh, she's one of those.
Yeah. Oh my God. It cuts to them like making out on the bed, and then eventually they shut the door, and I'm like, oh, they had sex. I'm sorry, but they did.
They've got recording of her going, oh, oh, oh. I
Uh,
was like, what is happening right now? I would be embarrassed just for making these noises, let alone the fact that you are Mormon on TV having probably sex with your boyfriend.
it was similar to the noises that she was making when she was standing out on the side of the road in her house slippers
Yes.
when she was waiting for him,
And then she's,
and
yeah,
in the car wash, in the car
yes.
wash. Hmm.
I don't need to know that she can make those noises. I would rather not know that.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan.
So to get this bleh out of our mouths, we'll jump over to Dominic and Mary, where we stay for a brief second.
This one made me sad.
And this is what you were referencing earlier.
Yeah. This made me sad for her. It really did.
She drives 4 hours to go and visit him for this conjugal visit, and it's supposed to last 3 days. No, that was another thing that surprised me. I thought conjugal visits were like, I don't know, 8
An
hours?
hour.
Yeah, like,
Oh, I
well,
thought an hour.
I thought that they
30
were
minutes.
allowed to have, like, food and obviously sex, but I thought it maybe 24 hours, but I certainly didn't think they had 3 days.
Yeah, 3 days in, like, a rooming house, like, type of deal, like, they have, like, a living area and stuff, and, um, I just have to say that her lips bother me. I
Me
don't I don't know why, but her lips really she doesn't bother me, but her lips bother me.
She gets there, she waits, and she goes in, and they turn her away. They say that they scanned her jacket and they found drugs. I don't even understand that, like,
That's
but
nuts. So what they did was they found a trace of drugs on her jacket is what she meant by that. That's, like, stuff that they do at, like, security checkpoints, when they suspect you of trafficking drugs at, like, the airport. So what they do is they take, like, a swab of, like, the inside of your shoes, under your shoes, inside wherever you would hide drugs or have hidden drugs, and if it comes up positive, then that means that you must have had drugs on you, or you do drugs, or you deal drugs, but that seems nuts. But she did say that they're being very strict right now, and I don't know what that means.
yeah,
Um, but she didn't actually have drugs on her. It was just like they rubbed her jacket and it came up positive.
found trace amounts on her, right?
Yeah, trace amounts.
And that was all there was to that scene.
Hmm.
We go back to James and Ala next, and he's shopping for engagement rings with, well, she's there too. So they're both
Hmm.
looking.
Again, we go back to like the fact that they so easily are like, I was in prison. Like, James was in the flower shop. He's like, oh, she was in prison. And then Allah's like, oh, I was in prison. And it's like, kind of shocking. Like, these two are the only ones that kind of do that, you
You don't
know?
have to tell everybody. Like, keep
Hmm.
that to yourself.
He didn't need to know. He doesn't care.
That's like walking around. Yeah, it's like walking around going, "I'm ovulating." Nobody cares.
All she did was give him a gossip to talk to his coworkers about or his family about. That's all she did.
She gets the ring stuck on her finger, and then they make it look like everybody's real awkward in this situation. I'm feeling like in reality, it probably got stuck super brief. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Or do you think that she was seriously in the mindset of, I'll just not take this off and he'll buy it for me?
I don't know, but like she put it on the wrong finger at first and he's like that's the wrong finger and she's like I know and I don't think she did. No.
I don't know. There, that whole 30-second scene.
Yeah.
And then we're back to
Oh,
Johnna and Garrett again.
this one gets me.
He pulls up and honks the horn of his new car. He pulls up to their house and she comes out. Her first question, how much did you spend on this?
And he's like $13,000 baby, but it was financed. And she's like how are you going to pay for that?
You don't have a job. But the
You
only reason she was mad, she wasn't mad that he bought a car. She was mad because he didn't buy her a ring. If he had bought her a ring and the car, she would have been fine.
I mean, come on, Johan. I mean, you can you take a hint? This man, I hate her name. This man is basically telling you, my car, getting this car is far more important than getting you a ring that I might not even get you. It's
I mean,
basically what happened.
I understand where he was coming from. You don't want to spend money on a ring that you don't have a job to pay for, whereas if you buy a car, you can get to work and then you can pay for a ring. So if I had to choose between the two, it makes sense to get a car. Like it's beneficial. He can also contribute to the household. Or if you are so set on a ring that you don't want him to contribute to the household, then you can have your 1 carat diamond cut solitaire, whatever it was.
But I bet as soon as she got her ring and he didn't have a job and he didn't have a car and he didn't have an income, she'd be bitching at him about
Oh, I'm
it.
sure.
I mean, he could not win. This guy cannot win no matter what he does. But I know for a fact in his mind, he did not go get that car because he's like, I gotta have this car because I gotta get a job so that I can work and so that I can help her with Jonna with the household and then get Jonna that ring she wants and her perfect that's not what was going through his mind.
No.
Not at all. He's like, if I'm gonna get away from her, I need this car.
Again, it's just a relationship that doesn't make sense.
It he says he says, "In the past, the only cars I drove were the ones I stole," and I was laughing, and it shows them driving around in the car, and of course, Jonna's got this stink face, like always, and she's got her arms crossed, and she's got that stupid stink face on
Yep.
with her, two the sun's 2 bright eyes, and
Always.
ah,
She always looks mad.
she's so insulting too. She goes, I thought you'd get a bus pass or drive your grandma's car." Oh,
She's so demeaning to him, and that's
yeah.
there's no reason to talk to somebody like that. Like, she talks to him like he's a little boy and he's stupid.
Oh, yeah. But you know what though? I feel like that's something that that happens in her life because that's how her dad talks to her.
You
So
think
she's
so?
clearly been I think so. Yeah. It's
I
the
don't
way that
know.
he talks to her. I thought he talked to her in a demeaning manner. I really felt that way when they were interacting.
But Garrett's not
Mm.
without his fault. I mean, he calls her names
Oh
and
no.
says,
Mhm.
he does his share too. It's just
Yeah,
different.
but she should know better. If someone's talking to you like that, you walk away,
Right.
I mean, and a lot of us don't, of course. So, but, you know.
Words hurt too. Next
Mhm.
up is James and Ala again, and she meets his best friend Chris. What do you think of Chris?
He's hockey. I did not like that man at all. He was just like, "I am the best man alive. I have," oh, that he's either got a trophy wife or and they didn't show a significant other, or he's got girl or he pays for high-end escorts or something. He opens the door to this what looks like a kind of classy house, and oh man, he was just short and creepy.
That's funny. I liked Chris a lot. I thought that
You
he
did?
was I did. I really did. I thought that he was genuine. He may have been a little too aggressive in conveying his opinion,
Oh,
but I thought that he was honest and he was doing what a friend would do in that situation. He was expressing his concern, and James did not like that.
well, okay, to be fair, he wasn't expressing his concern to James. He was doing it directly to Allah's face.
Right.
Is a change because we haven't seen that yet. We haven't seen any family members or friends confront the inmate directly about yet, not yet. Right? We haven't seen that yet
Right.
because everyone's kind of been like even Jonna's dad was he held his composure when he was talking to Garrett somewhat.
More or less.
Yeah, but this guy was just like, oh, he is just
I don't see, I
dragging
just
her
don't
through
I
the
didn't
mud.
feel that way. I didn't. I just
No,
got a very honest, although aggressive vibe from him. I thought, could he have handled it better? Probably. But, yeah, I liked him. I liked him. I would have a beer with
he
him.
asks, but why would he ask a woman, how is showering and the bathrooms? Why would he ask her that though?
'Cause
That
he's a
was
little
creepy.
creepy. I'm not saying he's a great guy. I'm just saying, like
And so, and in turn, she goes and tells him, oh, how a strip search goes. You put your arms up in the air, you know, you bend over, you spread your butt cheeks, and you cough. And it's like, what is going on?
those are dumb questions, but those are dumb questions that I would probably ask somebody too. Like, they're awkward questions that you should definitely not ask somebody, but I'm dumb enough to do that kind of thing, to be like, "So, I know this thing I shouldn't say because it's gonna come across," but it come across as rude, but I don't know that that was his intention. I don't think he was trying to be rude as much as
I do.
trying. Maybe he was. Maybe I am entirely off base with my assessment of Chris. Chris could be, the worst. I don't know, but from this snippet, I liked him. I would do the
I could
same.
tell. y- Well, I think you would do the same, but what you would do is you would approach it differently. You wouldn't just come out like that. You'd be like, "Well, excuse me for asking this, but how is showering and how are or I've always wondered or something like that." Don't just like jump into it. It was just kind of like there was a better way to go into that question.
So when all y'all were naked.
Especially because it's a woman, I
Mhm.
don't know. And I mean, some of the stuff he did say, he said what made it was, valid. It's risky to make such a drastic decision so soon because, they have been together for not that long. What, 10 months or something, 10 and a half months.
Something
So,
she says 9 and he keeps making it longer.
oh, I didn't catch that. But I mean, yeah, that is valid because you really, really, really don't know each other. I
Right.
mean, that's and they're both on the same page. They're the ones who are like both of them are like, yeah, we're getting married. There's no doubt that they're gonna get married, and
Mhm.
neither one is being wishy washy at all. So
Right. I mean, they've been friends for 10 years, but James says he's mad at Chris for the way he behaved.
Mhm.
But how many times has somebody come to you and told you the truth and it makes you mad? Just because you're upset doesn't mean the person was wrong.
Yeah. I just think he could have gone about it differently, but maybe that's just how he is. That's just the person he is. So I don't know. It
Yeah, I
just
don't
seemed to me like that's his type, the type of person that that person is. So,
I don't know. I don't know if he it's so hard to tell because we just really have just
mm,
met Chris. We've just been introduced to him. So maybe we'll see more of him as the time goes on. And we end this episode with Lizzie and Scott, and we find out that she sent him a wedding ring. Where did this
I
wedding
didn't
ring come
I didn't
from?
catch that.
Oh, you
I
didn't?
didn't catch that part. No, no, I
Yeah.
didn't.
Where did she get a wedding ring to send Scott?
Commissary.
They just
I
have
don't
them.
know. She had she jumped on Amazon and
They have gold bands in commissary.
they might.
They might, I don't know. Maybe if you pay enough money, I have no idea.
They probably have access to Amazon and can send people things, I'm sure, if they have access to the computer and they can, like, date. So, I mean, they can have online pen pals.
Maybe.
Maybe they can shop on Amazon. Um,
She calls and apologizes to him
Mm.
and she's just crying. "Oh, Scott,
Yeah.
it's so terrible." That was my
There
imitation.
wasn't really an explanation as to what happened, though. There was no explanation whatsoever. She didn't say why this happened.
She lied. I mean, I don't think there well, I mean, it could come out later, but I think she just lied. I don't know why or what her reasoning was or how she thought that was gonna play out.
It was just weird. You know, it she turned it around on him too when he was like, so at first he was saying Lizzie's probably conning him
Mhm.
and he has a bad feeling, and then when he's talking to her, she kind of talked him into changing his feelings, like she's like messing with
Absolutely.
his mind.
She
Yeah, and
gaslit
she's like,
him.
mhm,
I mean,
yeah.
she gaslit him 100% and to the point where he's essentially apologizing to her. She's
Mhm.
like, "No, you're wrong. I would never do this to you." And he's just like, "Okay."
Now, she says he has her birth certificate and social security card. I'm gonna guess that the only reason why that is because she probably didn't have copies of either,
And he got him.
and he got them for her, or she ordered them and sent them to him
It could
because
be,
that's,
yeah.
yeah. But that doesn't prove anything because I could get as many copies of my birth certificate. I don't think with the social security card, I think you have a limit of how many you can get, but you could send those to, I mean, this does show that she trusts him because he could steal her identity with those two pieces of information. So she knows he's not going to do that. So she at least trusts him.
Well, what are you gonna steal from somebody who's spent so much time in prison? And, I mean, she may not have any credit to there may be nothing to steal.
That's true. That's true. But still, it is kind of, it's still dangerous to
Oh,
have,
yeah.
other
Yeah.
people's information.
I agree.
She just keeps saying she loves him, and then, like we said, she's gaslit him, and now after all that, he says, "Oh, I'm not being scammed." Really?
Right. Well, she said no, so it's no.
And he goes, I don't think I'm a trick anymore. I was like, oh, well, good for you.
And you decided that in the last 10 minutes after she told you you weren't. So I feel on one hand I started the episode off feeling bad for Scott, and
Hmm.
I ended the episode feeling frustrated with Scott and feeling like you're bringing this on yourself. Like there has to be a point when things don't make sense that you go, this doesn't make sense. Make it make sense or I'm done.
Well, one of the other things I watch we were discussing how I watch YouTube, is I watch, not the show Catfish, but there's something called Catfished with an ED. And some of these people actually think that they're in relationships with famous people, and they send them so much money that they lose their homes.
Yeah.
And so there are so many people, and these are not dumb people either. These are not stupid people and people that haven't lived life. It's like they fall for this, and I don't understand it. I couldn't, I wouldn't. I'm smarter than that, I guess. But they're not stupid people. So what happens in their brain that makes them fall for this?
Loneliness. There's a sense of loneliness that brings all these people to a point where they will accept scams, or that they
Mhm.
accept that maybe somebody who's down on their luck in prison is the only person who would be interested in them. I don't know, really.
That that statement makes sense, especially I think with Scott, and not that he's not a good-looking guy, but he is older, so, he's a little grizzled.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, she's like we said, she's an attractive woman, not as young as we thought, but yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
Who was your MVP for this episode?
I'm gonna go with Garrett because he got that car and shoved it in Johnna's face.
I'm gonna go with Andrea this week for her freak out at the car wash. I'm not sure what was going on with that, but that was a whole thing that happened.
Uh, that was probably my she's not my MVP, but that was my favorite part of the whole show. She reached over me and gave him the receipt and the change. She could have just handed it to me.
It was weird, but I think from what I saw, he was leaning across her to take it. It's not like the lady dove through the car to get to his hand.
If someone's reaching towards you with their hand open, what are you gonna do? Slap it out of the way and hand it to the wife instead?
I'm surprised she didn't. No, that's funny. And we would like to thank all of our new listeners. We're so glad you're with us, and we hope you come back and follow along with us. If you would like to email us, you can find us at lalulockeddown@gmail.com. And that's about it for this week's episode. Listen every Wednesday wherever you find your podcasts.
In the meantime, don't fall in love.
And don't get locked up.
First date at Walmart, keeping it low. Told the clerk, don't judge me, I'm on parole. I brought roses, okay, one rose from a gas station. She said, oh babe, now that's validation. We be vibing in a halfway suite. Microwave dinners, romance elite. She my ride or die, she brought me a phone. Even snuck it in once, pre-release song. She hold me down like a key-o with charm. Except she don't mace me or twist my arm. We write vows in Sharpie on my court docs. Judge said no contact, but we beat the clocks. Love after lockup, cuffed and proud. Matching jumpsuits, now we rockin' the crowd. She said, don't mess up, I said, bet. Now we're TikTok stars with no regrets. So here's the love and second chance thrill. From a concrete bed to Netflix and chill. They said, don't catch feelings, but I caught a case of butterflies, girl, not just in one place. Ankle monitor beep. Oops, curfew gotta bounce.